What is up, astrology nerds? My name is John Solo. This is Astrology Explained, and I think the best way for me to start this episode off would be with an apology. For those who didn't see our pilot episode where I covered the mythology behind Aquarius, I made what may have been the single biggest mistake of my life when writing that script. I'm talking something that many of you may never forgive me for. It honestly pains me to even admit this, but I said Aquarius was a water sign when in reality, it's an air sign. I know. I messed up. I messed up big time. And if you want to close out of this video and go report my crimes to your local psychic, I do not blame you at all. I mean, sure, Aquarius is literally a vase filled with water, and every myth about it pertains to water in some way. But my buddy Zoltar told me there is a huge difference and I need to respect that. It's just ridiculous and embarrassing that I can make such a stupid mistake. So to those whom I offended with my egregious error, please find it in your heart to forgive me, and to those who weren't offended, you really should have been. Astrology is serious shit. All I can say is that while I did almost put my head through a window when I realized the mistake, I'm glad it happened in the first episode because now I'm gonna make sure the rest of the series is flawless. Not to mention my wife is a Pisces, so if I mess this one up, I'm not gonna hear the end of it. And actually, I'm planning on posting this on her birthday, so I've gotta be real careful. Anyway, it's about time we get into it, eh? For the newbies to astrology, Pisces is the final sign listed in the official astrological order, and according to most calendars, is active from February 19th to March 20th, placing it between Aquarius and Aries. The name Pisces is Latin for fishes, the symbol used to represent the sign. Typically, it shows them swimming head to tail in opposite directions, but in the constellation itself, they're either overlapping at the tail or tied together with a cord. And since fish live in the water, you could probably guess that Pisces is a fire sign. I'm kidding. It's a water sign, people. Take a deep breath and fidget with your tarot cards if you need to calm down. The reason the type of sign is important is that it's not. It's all made up. But those who believe in astrology say the different kinds of signs are connected to different personality traits. For example, water signs are said to be more empathetic and sensitive towards others, with Pisces specifically being compassionate and devoted individuals. And while I don't normally buy into this sort of thing, while researching, I couldn't help but dig a little deeper into the significance of this water association. What I found turned out to be pretty damn fascinating. You see, Pisces being represented by two fish means it's often affiliated with the ocean, which archetypally has been used to represent the group mind or collective unconscious, according to psychiatrist Carl Jung. You can think of the collective unconscious as the pool of knowledge and experience that all humans unconsciously access when our instincts kick in or when we recognize archetypes such as the wise old man. It's a segment of the deepest unconscious mind that is genetically inherited and is not shaped by personal experience. With this in mind, some believe that Pisces have special access to the collective unconscious, which makes it easy for them to understand other people's emotions. And the internal struggle for Pisces to stay grounded in material matters versus losing themselves in that pool of human experience is represented by the two fish swimming in opposite directions. Now, if the amount of times I've said water so far hasn't made you pause the video to go pee yet, I am truly impressed, but you might not be able to hold out for this next part, because pretty much every myth and phenomenon connected to Pisces is wetter than a Cardi B themed water slide. I'm sorry to put that image in your head. I felt gross just saying it. I'd honestly go and shower, but with that image in mind, the last thing I want is a bunch of water squirting down at me. I'm so sorry. Anyway, Pisces is one of the earliest zodiac signs on record, with the two fish appearing as far back as 2300 BC, painted on the inside of an Egyptian coffin lid. Sadly, we don't have any Egyptian myths about Pisces, but we do know the constellation would appear in the sky at the peak of the Nile's flooding season, which is almost too perfect. I just love how when the Nile starts to flood, the Aquarius face appears and pours water from the sky, then when it's at its most flooded, there are fish swimming around up there. Too cool, man. Let's move on to the Greeks, though, who seem to firmly believe that Pisces was connected with Aphrodite in one way or another. For example, they didn't refer to the constellation by its Latin name, Pisces, rather its Greek name, Ichthyes, and this has led to some scholars believing the symbol of the fish was derived from ichthyocentaurs. For the uninitiated, ichthyocentaurs were basically water-dwelling centaurs with fish tails on their back half, and were said to escort Aphrodite from the ocean to land when she was born from the sea foam that came from the god Uranus's balls after his son Kronos cut them off and tossed them. Whew, I needed a breath after that one. The belief is, after her arrival, Aphrodite thanked the ichthyocentaurs for their help and placed them in the stars as constellations as a reward. There is another interpretation that I like a little more though, and that includes who is undoubtedly the most terrifying monster in the entirety of Greek mythology, Typhon. See, after Zeus and the Olympians took control of the cosmos, they cast the Titans into Tartarus, the deepest part of the underworld, and the earth deity known as Gaia had to throw one last Hail Mary pass to defeat the gods. She decided to mate with Tartarus, or let all of the Titans in Tartarus mate with her, and the monster Typhon was born from their union. This terrifying freak of nature had 100 dragons' heads, fire erupting from his eyes, and could make the sounds of hundreds of animals all at once. When Typhon showed up, pretty much all of the Olympians transformed into animals, then ran and hid somewhere, while Zeus and Athena stayed back and did all the fighting. Aphrodite and Cupid were among these cowardly gods, and depending on your source, either turned into fish to escape, or they rode on the backs of the fish to safety. Then, after the danger had cleared, the gods expressed their appreciation by placing the fish among the stars. And that, Solo fam, was the messed up mythology of Pisces, and yet another example of what I love so much about Greek mythology. If you're a longtime viewer, you know how often I've talked about the battle with Typhon, like 6 fucking times at least, but every one of those had a different focal point that taught us something new. In the Zeus episode, we found out he was defeated in his first encounter with the monstrosity, and in the Fates episode, we learned they played a special role in helping Zeus defeat him the second time. It just amazes me how much depth there is to this universe and how your opinion of major events can change depending on whose perspective you take. Just you wait, one day we'll tell the story from Typhon's point of view and learn that monsters really do have feelings after all. Those are just some thoughts I wanted to share with you before we part ways, but now that we're 6 minutes into this episode of Messed Up Minute, I've really got to let you go. If you enjoyed our time together and just as importantly learned yourself something, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons because we've got 10 more episodes just like this coming your way. And if you want to stay updated on Messed Up Origins news, like when new videos are coming out and what they'll be about, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'll see you all again later this week in a Norse-themed episode of Messed Up Minute. Until then, my name is John Solo, and remember, John shot first.